The year is 2012. Major League Baseball is in a much different position than it is now. Miguel Cabrera is dominating the league with the Tigers, and Buster Posey is riding on an MVP campaign. The league is tougher than ever, and young talent is emerging right in front of our eyes. Out in the AL West, it was a flat-out dogfight. The 94-win A's won the division under the Billy Beane regime. The Rangers were a 93-win team, one game back from first place, an exciting team that had a young rookie, Yu Darvish, who debuted in American baseball. And then you had the third-place team, who had arguably the best breakout that this league had seen in a long time. 21-year-old outfielder, Mike fucking Trout. This is a kid who had been drafted straight out of high school in 2010 and entered the minor leagues, quickly making his MLB debut in 2011, and then he had his insane breakout in 2012. Trout was a different type of player, one who had a generational arm defensively and an immense amount of power offensively. The Angels had an athlete, someone who they could build around. It was just up to the front office to actually do it. The only problem is that they couldn't. Arte Moreno, the man who bought the team in 2003. They were coming off of a World Series Game 7 victory in 2002. Fans were at peak happiness, so it wasn't going to be very hard to keep the fan morale high. As the years went on, the Angels were consistently in the playoffs. Although, they also consistently lost in the playoffs, and the team's performance in the postseason always managed to drop off from the regular season. Fast forwarding back into 2012, he had a responsibility. Moreno had to give the fans a winning product. With a start like Mike Trout, there was no reason that this team couldn't be winning postseason baseball games. But through Arte Moreno's eyes, he pictured this as a chance to be marketable. It's all he's ever cared about is the business side of being an owner, and that became evidently clear as the years went on. The players that the team signed did not need to be good. The signing didn't need to make sense. It just needed to be marketable. Who cares if he's past his prime? Who cares if he has age concerns? A well-known player is a well-known player, and that is going to equal the money. This is where Albert Pujols came into the picture. He was signed to be the face of the Angels, the face who would be the reason for such high jersey sales and for ticket sales to be at all-time highs. 10 years, $240 million at 32 years old. There were concerns written all over this contract, and first of all, he was clearly regressing, but he gave him the contract anyway. Secondly, there have even been rumors that he lied about his age. Regardless, Moreno did not take any of this into account. Well, I guess he took the money into his bank account, but otherwise, he did not take any of this into account. But otherwise, he did not care about the team's performance. They proceeded to make the playoffs one time in the next 5 years, almost completely wasting the prime of the best player of the 2010s. But in 2017, going into the 2018 season, they made a big move, signing a Japanese superstar who could play two ways onto a deal. He would be an Angel for a total of 6 seasons, with the goal of getting back into the playoffs. Ohtani ended up winning Rookie of the Year, but they still didn't make the playoffs, and then 2019 goes by and they miss out again. So going into 2020, they wanted to make a big splash, to add another superstar to the Ohtani-Trout duo. Anthony Rendon, the 2019 national legend. He was coming off of his very best season yet. The problem is he was known to have a bad attitude, he had comments in the past about how he didn't like baseball and how it's boring, but Moreno knew that fans would love Rendon on the field, buying more jerseys and buying more tickets. This quickly became the worst contract in MLB. His body was falling apart with injury after injury. I mean, even when he did play, he sucked. Or he would of course get into a fight with a fan. Rendon was a disaster. The Angels were a disaster. The end was coming for the Ohtani-Trout era, and it came time for 2023, the final year that Ohtani was under contract with LA. Going into the year, they made certain additions, but the team was still losing. They needed to trade Ohtani and get a massive trade haul, set up the future, and prepare for the post-Ohtani-Trout era. They were 56-51 in a very competitive division at the trade deadline. They had to compete with the Astros, Rangers, and the Mariners. it made all the sense in the world to go and sell off. Retool for your future. By then, they had to have known that Ohtani was just going to be way too expensive for them and was not going to be in their market. But Arte Moreno, the delusional Angels owner, decided to buy at the deadline. He decided to keep Ohtani, saying screw the farm system, and he traded for several different players. Obviously, this ended up biting them really hard and it went really bad. They all ended up being released before the season ended. And that was that. Meanwhile, Mike Trout only getting older and he has injury problems, Ohtani was about to leave, and the farm system was ranked towards the bottom of the league. This team was a dumpster fire. Ohtani ended up leaving the team and signing with the Dodgers as we all expected, and it's just a revolving cycle of misery for Angels fans. And Arte Moreno just confirmed that he will be the Angels owner in the long run. He will not be selling the team. Just recently, he actually even spoke about not trading Ohtani, justifying it by saying they could not trade Ohtani because the ticket sales would have dropped. So he cared about the money going into his pocket rather than the organization being good for several years. As long as this man owns the team, the Angels will not be back in the postseason anytime soon. Anyways, if you did enjoy, please subscribe. If not, thanks for watching anyway, and peace out.